Hi there, this is Dr. Embody with Project 8. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a look at the basic data structures here and how we need to manipulate them. So with that, let's take a look. All right, so in this project, we are dealing with some data on games, like for the Xbox and the Atari and so on. And we have some familiar friends here. We're opening a file and we're reading a file, and then we're going to have some functions that deal with those. And when we read the file, we're going to create 3 dictionaries, and we tell you, which fields in the file we're interested in. And then here are the 3 dictionaries. Now, these dictionaries are complex in the sense that they have a key, which is a string, and then they have a list of tuples. And the tuples have things like the name of the game, the platform, the year it was out, what kind of games, first-person shooter, so on. Publisher, Atari, and so on, and then global sales. And we organize these, the D1, the D2, and the D3 in different ways. A lot of the data is the same, but for example, D1 has a key, which is a name. D2 has key as a genre and is focused on sales. And then D3 is also with publisher, again, focusing on sales. Okay, we tell you what you don't look for, and so on. But one of the things that we ask you to do is to sort these. Okay, and so we're going to sort them by the keys. Okay, now how do we do that? So that's one of the things we'll be taking a look at. So let me come back to that. And then there are some other things. Now you'll notice that the other functions, like for example, this function takes D1, that being this D1 that we got out of reading the file. So the reading the file created 3 dictionaries. And then this function, depending on what the indicator is, which may be a year or a platform, it's a string, you will extract information out of D1 into a list of tuples. So you're going to take the tuples out of D1, matching a particular indicator. For example, if it's the year, the indicator is the year, the value will be like 1999 or 2005 or something like that. And so you'll be extracting everything out of D1 that has a value of 1995. And then the other possibility is platform, in which case this will be like Xbox or something like that. And then there are other functions. So for example, D3 is based upon the publisher, again, returning a list of tuples. Excuse me. And then there are other ones, like for example, when we're displaying. Well, in the previous functions, we've created a list. So here we will be displaying a list, again, having an indicator being just like we had before, indicating a year or a platform. And again, here's D2 with a year, all right, giving us a list of tuples. We're getting a bunch of genres out of that one. And then after that, guess what? You have, you're going to display the genres out of the list that you just generated on the previous one. Similarly with displaying publisher data, that will be on the publisher list. And then we have the get totals. Here we're trying to set ourselves up for some plotting. So we're going to get one list, and we're going to get 2 lists out of that. I'll take a look at how that'll work. But this is, we want to plot it, so we need to have the x values and the y values for plotting. So we're going to take this one list and create a list, 2 lists that we can then use for plotting in. And not surprisingly, if we're plotting a value in this list, an X value in this list has to correspond to the correct Y value in that list. And then we do the same thing in preparing for the pie plot. We start with a list. We're generating two lists that we can then use for plotting. And again, they have to correspond. So that's a little. So as long as you understand that that's preparing for plotting, that notion of how those correspond will be, is somewhat natural. And then in the main program, you're going to have different options: option 1, option 2, option 3, option 4, and then these just call the functions that we've had before, so that we already have. So those functions are setting you up for that. And option 5 stops the program. The actual plotting, we provide you with those functions. So what you have to do is you have to get the lists correct. And we have functions, so you can get those correct. And then you just simply pass them in to the plotting ones, and magically they plot. All right, so what I want to do is go back to start with one of these dictionaries. And the idea here is that we have a key, and then we have a list of tuples. And so what I've done here is in Spider, here is a dictionary, and it has keys that are strings, so it's just like our, like the D1 that I was just showing you. And then it has, for the value, it has a list of tuples. So if I just type the D, you can see it this way. Same thing, but notice that these values are not sorted alphabetically. So how do I sort with with this key? Well, it would be nice if I could just say sorted D. Well, okay, it doesn't work. What did it give us? It actually gave us the keys. All right. So when this gets sorted, the keys will be in that order. So we can use that to create a new dictionary that is sorted based on the keys. So I'll call it my new D, and it will start being empty. And then for the keys in that list that I just made, all right, so that was, remember my sorted D gave me a sorted list of the keys. So that's the sorted list of the key, the ASX in this case. And for every one of those now, I want to put them into my new dictionary in the ASX order. Right? And so all I do is grab it based on the key. Now if I look at this new D, we see that now it's in the order of A first, X, and then X. So I have taken this original dictionary D where the keys were not sorted, right? And I have now created a new dictionary by grabbing the keys in sorted order and then just plugging the values in there. All right. So that's how I have to take a dictionary and sort it alphabetically, and you will be doing that with those dictionaries after you read them. You'll read the file, put it in dictionaries, sort it, and then return it. All right. And part of the reason, we actually sort it for two reasons. One is it makes testing easier. Because then everybody's got everything in the same order. But it also makes some of the later functions easier because you know that they are already in sorted order. Now, if you want, and we do have to do this in later functions, is I can notice how the values, these lists of tuples, are not sorted. So I can sort those also. So let me go back. Let's make notice I haven't changed my D, right? The D is unchanged. So let's make a, I'll call it the sorted D. And what I'm going to, right, sorted D has to be defined to be start out being empty. All right, got to initialize it. And then I'm going to go back to, I'm just using the up arrow here. I'm going back to the same one that I had before, but instead of new D, I'm going to have sorted D. And now what I'm going to do is every value, right, D of key is a value, which is a list of tuples. I am going to sort that list. All right, and watch what happens. So here's my original D, and here's now my sorted D. All right, where notice not only did I sort it by the keys, right? Because that was the part that gave me sorting by the keys. So I started with X, A, and S, and now I have ASX. But each of those lists, so A, sorted by, originally had a 7 and a 2. Remember, if by default it will sort on the first item, and so because everything's default here, it's not reversed. It's sorting on the first item, so the 2 will come before the 7, and we see that the tuple with 2 comes before the tuple with 7. And similarly with S, right? S had a tuple starting with 8 and with 2, and then it put those into the order. And notice that the tuples themselves are not sorted. If you wanted to do that, you could do that, but you'd now have to, sort each tuple before you appended them on there, right? So like for example, you can see here, that one was 7, 9, 8, not in any order, and it stays as 7, 9, 8. Okay, so we could see how we could sort just by the keys, and then I also, so that gave me the sorting by the keys, but then I also sorted by the values. And as with any sort, you can use item getter so that rather than sorting by default on the first value of the tuples, you're sorting by the second value or something like that. And you will be doing that in some of the functions. So there's kind of, how we take a dictionary and put it into sorted order, and at the same time taking the values of the dictionaries and putting them in sorted orders. Now the other type of thing that you end up doing in a later function is you're going to collect some values and then sort them, sort the counters there. So let me take the classic Hamlet soliloquy: to be or not to be, that is the question. I'm leaving out the punctuation just to make it, and it's all lowercase. And what I would like to do is count the values and then sort those counts based on the vowels, right? So I can, again, I'll have a dictionary here. We'll initialize it. Again, I'll give it a bad name. And what I want to do is I want to count the values. So for the characters in my string, if the character is a vowel, we've done this. I made life a little easier by everything being lowercase. So if it's a vowel, excuse me, then if that character, which is now a vowel, is in my dictionary, okay, then we want to add 1 to its count. And if it's not in there, we want to initialize the count to be 1. Standard counting, we've done this before. Now, what does my dictionary look like? And it says, okay, how many O's did I had? I had 5 of them, right? And you know, and we can do a check of that. All right, so there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 O's, right? So there's my 5 O's. And then similarly with the E's, there's an E, there's an E, there's an E. I missed one. There's 1, 2. Yep, there's the 4th one, right? So I've got 4 E's and so on. There's 1 A, all right? And so I can go through this, and there's the I. There's 2 I's. There's 1 I there, 1 there, and we've got 1 U. There he is right there. So that gives me a count of the vowels. I didn't count all the characters. I just counted the vowels. So I had a little conditional in there. Now what I'd like to do is I would like to make a list of the vowels in alphabetical order. So how might I do that? So for my my keys in my sorted. So remember, sorted D gives me the keys in alphabetical order, A, E, I, O, U. And now I want to get the values in that order. So what I want to do is have the value for A, that's a 1. The value for E, that's a 4. The value for I, that's a 2. Value for O, that's a 5. Value for U, that's a 1. So now what I want to do is I want to make a new list like that. Okay? How do I make that new list so that I have a list and it's corresponding to the order, you know, to a particular order, and you'll be doing this when you're setting up values for plotting. So, for example, if I wanted to plot the letters versus the counts, I would want to have it so. Let me pick a different color here to emphasize this with. I want to make sure that the 1 is going with the A, and the 4 is with the E, and the I is with the 2, so that, for example, I'm plotting X values and Y values, for example, and they will be separate lists. So that's what that's what we have to do in order to plot these. And so how might I do this as a how would I build that list? Well, again, as we have done a million times, we'll start with a list poorly named here, and I want that to be the list of the values in order. So for my keys in my sorted dictionary, that's the A-E-I-O-U, what do I want to do? I want to say do things in that order, and what will it be? It will be just the value of that key. All right, so I get my key values, and I screwed that up. Let's try that again. I'm building a list, dummy. There we go. I'm appending onto my list each of those values. That looks a lot better. And notice now I've got my list of values. Let me do the sorted D right next to it, and we can see here that I've actually done what I wanted to do, which is I've got my A count of 1. There it is there. My E count is 4. My I count is 2. My O count is 5. And my U count is 1. All right, and so now I've so what did I do? I took I counted up the letters, and a dictionary is a handy way to do that. Collect up all these different values, and then I could go through the sorted keys and build my list that way. All right, so those are a couple of the techniques that you need to use in order to manipulate the data structures in here. Be careful. This is a messy project, and it takes some work to get through there. I updated the PDF specifications just to try and put a little more hints in there. All right. Good luck.